This incident involved it's not even 67. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. This incident involved a 67-year-old male. Initial call was for chest pain at the golf course near hole 11. Squad 1 responded to the scene and utilized staff members from the clubhouse to find where the patient was. When Squad 1 got close to where the patient was, they noticed that people were doing compressions out on the grass. And at that point, they advised dispatch to do the echo tones for Car 3 and Squad 3 to respond as well. Some things I want to note before diving into this incident. The crews faced quite a bit of challenges here. A couple of challenges were the patient was quite a ways away from a road, and so it was kind of difficult to get to the patient. Secondly, there were about 50 to 60 mile an hour winds that day, which made communication very difficult, and also keeping track of your equipment. And the third thing, there was a very large crowd around the patient, and because it was difficult to communicate with them, it was kind of hard to get them away as well. So there were quite a few challenges coming into this scene. I believe that the staff members did a pretty decent job of trying to handle all of that. So going into, this is the first analyzed rhythm from Squad 1. We know that compressions were being done while the AD was applied because we can see some compressions there. This was going to be a shockable rhythm. It started analyzing and ultimately charging at this point here. And it took the team member about 2 seconds to get back on the chest. Nice job there. I assume they were hovering, and that's how we can minimize that time. They went ahead with 30 compressions. What's very impressive is that when they went to shock this patient, it literally took less than a second to shock the patient. So I assume they did the 30th compression. They got off, really quick hovered, and whoever was on the AED shocked, and the compressor got back on the chest very quickly. So nice job to the team members for doing that. This is going to be the second analyzed rhythm. It took the person doing compressions a little bit longer to get back on the chest. Here, it's about a 3-second pause. Again, we want to try to keep under 2 seconds to minimize the chances of dumping the charge because it takes too long. Remember, while the charging phase is happening, we're doing 30 compressions. And if we don't get on the chest quick enough after it starts charging, then there's a chance where the AED may dump the charge. So in this case, it was 3 seconds. The compressor started doing 30 compressions. Unfortunately, whoever was on the AED, instead of pushing the charge button as they did before, the power button was pressed. And so the AED was turned off. This was identified fairly quickly by the compressor, who got back on the chest pretty quickly. So we can assume that compressions were being done or had started up here somewhere in the middle. So the AED was turned back on, and remember, whenever the AED gets turned on, the first thing that it wants to do is analyze again. So the AED was turned on here, and again, the first thing that it wanted to do was analyze. Well, compressions were being done during this time. Ultimately, the team members did realize that it was trying to analyze, and they stopped. But at that point, it was already starting to charge. They got back on the chest here until it finished charging. You can see it charged complete. They went ahead and shocked and got back on the chest. This whole episode here only amounted for about 2 seconds of time off the chest when they actually shocked. So nice job to the team. Despite that challenge there, they were able to minimize the post-shock pause. So nice job. ALS ended up showing up on scene, and ACCD was not able to be used, mainly because of the patient's size. ALS determined that because the patient was continued to be in a shockable rhythm, they decided they wanted to transport this patient, which is protocol. So the patient was packaged and transported with a couple members of our members en route. The patient did expire in the ED after some resuscitation efforts there as well. We did get a follow-up. Apparently this patient had a massive pulmonary embolism, which was the reason why we weren't able to get ROSC. So despite some challenges on the for this call, there was definitely some room for improvement, and there were some good things as well. So I hope everyone can kind of learn from this and take some things away as well.